my name's Mad, and this is Quirky Seeker. I love Enneagram memes. There have been a lot of Instagram accounts popping up, talking about the Enneagram, sharing about all of the wisdom of the Enneagram, and a lot more popping up sharing memes about the different Enneagram types. And oh my gosh, they are so funny. It's not a great way to learn about the Enneagram. It's not a great way to type yourself, type anybody else, introduce anybody to the Enneagram, teach anybody about the Enneagram. Like, don't go there. That's not what it's for. But if you have been reading books, attending workshops, you've learned about the Enneagram, you're confident in what your number is, you've got people in your life who are also doing work with the Enneagram, it can be super, super fun to send each other these little memes, to have a little laugh. It kind of brings a lighthearted aspect into it, especially if you find a meme about a number that actually applies to somebody that you know in real life whom you love, and you can send it to them. You totally do this, and they're like, oh my gosh, I know, right? I feel like we have a lot of heavy conversations surrounding the Enneagram. We're doing like real deep inner work stuff. So I really enjoyed that there are so many accounts out there now giving those of us who do know the Enneagram a little bit of fun. One of the Instagram accounts that's caught my eye is called Just My Enneatype, and they recently did a series where they made a checklist for each of the 9 types, and they asked, does this apply to you? So I thought today I would pull up the 4 checklist and walk through each item, because just checking or not checking the boxes didn't seem like enough for me. I felt like each line needed an explanation. So if you're into it, here we go. The first line item on the 4's checklist says, I like things that are unconventional, dramatic, and refined. I'm definitely not a fan of the ordinary. I do often lean towards the unconventional, dramatic, and especially the refined. I don't know how I feel about this I'm definitely not a fan of the ordinary thing. Ordinary is a special word for me because I have found a lot of peace in finding the magic in the ordinary and taking things a little more slowly, enjoying the seasons as they come. And I hear this a lot about 4s. 4s don't like anything ordinary, all the teachers say. And I just wonder about that. I wonder if I am misinterpreting what they're saying, because I'm definitely not ordinary, but also I don't run from ordinary like it's the plague. I never really felt like I belonged. This is a hard one because I think it means something different than it sounds like it means. Just that sentence makes it sound like I never had any friends growing up, I wasn't involved in the activities that were going on, I hid away because I didn't feel like I didn't belong. But I think that this feeling sits inside of me separate from the way that I interacted with the world. I think a better way to say it would be that I crave belonging. I want to belong in my family, truly belong. I want to belong in any organization that I'm a part of. And I think sometimes I even fear not being accepted, not truly belonging. Like, I just know that there's something about me that's too different. I like the unique. I like being different. I don't want to be the same as anyone else, but also I'm driven mad because I care deeply about relationships and I want to belong. So there's a dichotomy. I have so many feelings in a day, it's hard to know which ones to pay attention to first. 100% agree with, I have so many feelings in a day, and this is every day. And this is weird for me because I didn't know before the Enneagram that other people didn't have as many feelings as me. I just thought that they dealt with them better and that I needed to up my game because I just wasn't doing as good as everybody around me. I think if Enneagram teaching is true, I actually have a lot more feelings than the other numbers. And I have higher highs and lower lows, and I have sometimes more feelings in a very short period of time than some people have over days or weeks. It's hard to know which ones to pay attention to first. Is not an all the time thing for me. On the daily, I just am usually pretty good at prioritizing and dealing with my feelings as they come. and living with them. I live with them pretty well. I love them. It's when something really big happens and I all of a sudden get flooded with all the feels at one time that I really must lean on my people for help and support, because it is at that point that I don't know what to do. Some people think I'm aloof, but I'm really just unique. This is a funny one because no one has ever called me aloof in my life. I've been called unique a lot, but I've never been called aloof, and I just think that some 4s appear more that way outwardly than others. In social situations, I tend to hang back and let others approach me. That has a little bit to do with the fact that I'm pretty sure that I go to stress every time that I'm around people. I've always appeared extremely extroverted, and people believe that I'm very confident and happy. I think that that is the natural survival instinct response that I exhibit when I get around people. It is like a light switch flips in me and I go into this mode where I just make sure everybody's okay and I kind of go with the flow and I try to help. Melancholy is comfortable for me. So it's annoying when people try to cheer me up. Once again, there's two sides, because I am very comfortable with melancholy. Something that I've learned about myself since learning that I'm a 4 is that I am always grieving. I don't quite know how to explain this to other people, but I think when things happen that actually do ask for grief, I feel very comfortable grieving, and I feel like it is easy for me to get on the level of people who are grieving, because that is where I live all the time. But on the other hand, I enjoy the full range of emotions. And for me personally, I really like to be with people where they are. So if I'm with somebody who just got a new job or a raise or had a baby or is getting married or something, I'm like right up there. In fact, sometimes I'm even higher than is probably healthy for me. 4s like to make the low stuff lower and the high stuff higher, and that's definitely me, and it's something that I'm working on because it takes a toll on me. The higher my high is, the harder my crash is afterwards, and the harder it is for me to recover. But if I'm sad, I don't mind being cheered up. I love to have friends come alongside me, be with me in whatever I'm in, offer me encouragement, and tell me the truth. You know, that some of these things that I believe are just lies. They're just flat out not true, and they're not helpful, and I need to let it go. That being said, I don't appreciate it when I am in a moment and someone is uncomfortable being in that moment and they kind of tear me out of it. I don't think I could take a road trip and enjoy it with a person who doesn't like to dive into the waters at all, who wouldn't be comfortable with whatever it is that came up, who was always trying to kind of sugarcoat everything. I think it would get real old after a while, and I think it'd be pretty draining for me to try and always be up. I'm not like everyone else. I don't know how I feel about this thing. I'm not like everyone else, but at the same time, am I really unique? I mean, there's so many other people out there that have everything in common with me. I don't think there's one thing about me that's just me, you know? There's all these other people out there who also do the things that I do and like the things that I like and live the way that I live. I think that I'm different from most people, and I think that's good enough for me. I want so badly to be accepted for who I am that I work very hard to accept everyone else for how they are. And I don't care if they're the same as each other, or if they're different, or if they're the same as me, or if they copy me, or if they despise the things that I do and the way I express myself and they go a completely different route. I just want to know who you are, you know? And I want to support you in that. I'm very sensitive to criticism. It takes me a while to get over it. Yes. Oh my gosh, I was listening to a teaching by Richard Rohr the other day where he said that 4s are perfectionists. And of course, my first thought was like, no, because 1s are perfectionists. But Richard Rohr is a 1. I felt like if anybody was going to teach this, a one teaching this is a good thing, because he was saying that, of course, ones are the perfectionists. Ones and fours both come into the world feeling flawed, but they deal with it in a different way. For ones, they perfect things moralistically. They're moralistic about perfecting things. Fours are aesthetic about perfecting things. I think that's 100% true. I think that I have a lot in common with ones. I lay awake in bed at night and can't fall asleep because I'm thinking about everything bad that I ever did in my whole life. My husband was like, "Are you sure you're not a one?" And I'm like, "I'm not a one, I'm a four." But fours do have a little bit of this perfectionist in them. And I think it's not just ones and fours. I think there's a lot of numbers that can't take critique, can't take criticism, and I'm definitely one of them. I spend a lot of time trying to explain myself. Well, that's pretty much this video, so there's that. I think as I get older and I learn more about myself and I start to understand the world a little bit better, I explain myself less and less, especially to people that I'm just meeting at parties or wherever out and about, because I'm realizing most people don't care. They don't really want to understand, and it takes a lot of energy for me to explain to people who don't naturally get it, and it takes a lot of energy for other people to try and be present in my life. So, you know, I pour deep into my people, and I just try and be present and connected in different ways in the general world. And I spend more and more time alone recharging. When people tell me what to do, I'm often tempted to do the opposite. Yes, 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 100% yes. But also not when I have a job to do. If I'm your administrative assistant and you give me a list of tasks that I need to accomplish, I go and do them. I don't have a problem with that. If I say, "Nate, can I help you with something?" and he says, "Sure, could you do this?" I go do it, you know? But if I'm at home minding my own business and you come up to me and you're like, "Hey, you should do this, you should do that," I'm like, I was thinking about doing that, but now I absolutely cannot. Sometimes I disappear and go radio silent for a few days. This is something I think I've always wanted to and needed to do, and have only really learned how to do recently. I think for some people, this may be unhealthy behavior. For me, this behavior has become self-care. I don't know if it's just this season of my life or what, but I need a lot of very alone time to recharge. I need to sometimes go away for a few days, like spend the whole day completely alone, no Nate, no Tim, just me. And then like in the evenings, hang out with Nate or Tim or whatever. And then after a couple of days, maybe I could bring in more of my people, have coffee dates, game nights, family get-togethers, what have you. I'm okay with sad songs, sad stories, and sad movies. Overly happy people give me a headache. I wonder what overly happy means. I am okay with sad songs. I'm definitely okay with sad stories and sad movies if they have a depth to them. Sadness just for the sake of sadness doesn't make sense to me. I'd like for there to be a narrative. I'd like for there to be a minute of sitting in the sadness and then hope. And I don't mind happy either. I enjoy all of it. Sometimes you just need a fluffy movie, although to be honest, I like it when the fluffy movies have a layer of depth to them as well. So I guess maybe that's what overly happy means. No substance. I want for things to have substance, but I don't care if they're happy or sad or whatever. I feel there is something essential lacking in me. Once again, if I didn't know the Enneagram and I read this, I was trying to figure out my number, I'd probably be like, no, something essential in me lacking? I'm not lacking, I'm fine, what are you talking about? But I do carry around with me in the world this consistent feeling that there's something missing in me, that I am lacking, that there's something that the other people in the world have. When I was a little girl, I thought that I would have it, and I don't have it, and I never got it. And it wasn't until my early 20s that I realized it wasn't going to come. I thought that there was something essential about life that everyone but me knew, and that since they all knew it, that one day I would know it too. But it was something that we didn't talk about. It was an unspoken thing. So if I was patient and I waited, one day it would happen to me. And I would know the things that everyone around me knew. And I could move in the world the way that the other people around me moved. And I would be okay. And I realize now that that's not true. There's not a magical moment coming for me to receive what's missing. I've just got to make do with what I've got. But also, other people don't have it figured out either. So I guess there's the silver lining. I thought other people had things figured out and that I just was an idiot. But we're all kind of idiots, huh? It's really hard for me to settle into a relationship because I'm always looking for my ideal soulmate. Have you guys met Nate with the beard? Like, I don't have trouble settling into a relationship because I got married when I was 20. I just found him, I snatched him up, and we worked hard for 7 years to have the marriage that we have today. And I am never, ever letting him go. Bam, done. Mic drop. That's it. This is it. I'm self-conscious. It's hard for me to find my place in a room full of people. I would definitely check this box and say yes. I think that nobody would expect me to because I typically appear confident, self-assured, happy, bubbly even in a room full of people. But that's just kind of my stress response going to 2 as a 4. I typically have my security blanket, a cup of coffee, and I try to find a person to one-on-one with because I'm much more comfortable one-on-one than with a large group. And I just try to breathe and remain present. And it's really hard because I just kind of go into people-pleasing mode, performer mode, kind of my 3-wing coming out. And nobody really knows that I am uncomfortable. People say I'm too intense and my feelings overwhelm them. Yeah, nobody's ever said that to me. Do I feel like my feelings are too intense and I overwhelm everyone around me? Yes. Do I constantly feel like I am either too much or not enough, or in some weird way sometimes both? Yes. Yes. All the time. But people don't feel that from me because I am different when I'm around people than I am when I'm alone, and because I don't share that side of me with them. I figure people don't really want to hear about all my feelings, and my darker emotions especially are not welcome. I just want people to feel happy and have a good time, and so I keep all of that private. And people don't know about it, and people just think I'm great. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it makes me cringe a little bit. I'm either an artist or highly creative. I come up with one amazing creative idea after another. That is like the most cocky statement I've ever heard. I'm definitely a creative person. I'm definitely an artist. It's interesting because 4s are drawn to aesthetics. 4s are drawn to beauty. 4s want to make everything more, you know? The good, the bad, the ugly, the romance, the tragedy. And so I can see why 4s are known as the artists. But I also just believe that as humans, we are all innately creative. I think it comes out in different ways for the 9 different Enneagram types. And I think it comes out in different ways for different people. But people who are type 4 are not necessarily artists, and they're definitely not necessarily fine artists. And people who are artists in general, or fine artists specifically, are definitely not always 4. You can be any Enneagram number and be an artist. So if you're not a 4 and you're like, I wish I was a 4 so I could be creative, like, don't let that kind of talk in your life, man. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. You know, find that piece of creativity inside of you and find how it wants to come out. Go there. You don't have to be held back by this idea that 4s are artists, because we're not the only ones. Lots of people misunderstand me, which frustrates me. Yes, 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 yes. No explanation needed. I pull people in, but then I get nervous and push them away. This is talking about the push-pull of 4s on the Enneagram, which I think people don't know that I do because I do it mostly with Nate. When we were dating, it was a lot of like me running away and then being angry because he didn't come after me, but he doesn't really respond well to me running away. So we had to have like, 48 fights before we were both able to realize like, we're in a pattern, this isn't working. I was able to be like, look, I won't run away if you promise not to leave. It kind of manifests itself in different ways now, but I still feel myself pushing him away and then pulling him back. I just feel like I'm too much. You're better off without me. The world would be better without me. I'm just dragging everyone around me down and I just push, push, push. But then I think I can't live without you. I need you in my life. I'm a human just like everybody else is a human, and I belong, and I'm flawed, but we're all flawed, and we're better together. And I pull, 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 and I pull everybody real close to me, and I try to really savor every moment, But there is this, that is like a very 4 thing, I think. I worry a lot about abandonment. This is true. I'm not sure if what I think of and what I feel when I hear the word abandonment is the same thing as other people think or hear when they think about abandonment. I mean, I do fear big overall abandonment by my people, leaving me, never loving me again, but it's more like on a day-to-day basis, like on a regular relational level, and I see it most with Nate. One of the things that Suzanne Stabile has said that rang so deeply with me, and I remind Nate of it all the time, is, when 4s are in trouble, detach, but don't leave. And Nate is a doer. So his first instinct when something goes wrong, and with me, something is almost always wrong, is to try to fix it. And I don't need it to be fixed, not in the way that he wants to fix it. He wants to do something. He wants to build something, tear something down, get something, clean something. He wants to do something, and whereas the fixing that needs to happen within me is a feeling type of a fixing. Feeling the emotions, working through the emotions, letting go of the emotions, moving on from the emotions. I don't need Nate to feel every emotion that I have. I don't need him to carry that weight for me, but I need him to get down in the mud with me while I wrestle through all of it. And he's gotten really good at that. I've gotten really good at saying, babe, I don't need you to do anything. And he's like, you don't? You just need me to be here? I'm like, that's exactly what I need you to do. Stay with me as much as you can, empathize, listen, but really your presence is the #1 thing. If you get up and leave, I just feel 10 times worse than I felt before. Knowing that you're around, knowing that you're gonna be around, so important. If you want to see the checklist for your type, I will link that Instagram profile in the description box. Thanks for hanging out. Later, haters.